I'm back, and some things have been happening. For one, my lucky bamboo is not as thick in the back. It's been falling over the front of the tank, and this one I left. I've also lost my algae scrubber, so No Name's tank is a disaster. But this one I left because it's going right down the middle and it's not really in the way. I thought it made it look kind of like a dendrobium a little bit. But now it's picking up. It's got that 90-degree angle where it's going to grow back up in the air again. But yeah, they grow up and then they start to fall. You can see that red string maybe. They just get so tall and the base isn't thickening, so they topple over. I cut one because it had toppled over this white Phalaenopsis here, and it was really kind of in the way it did it. So I cut it off back to the base and took it over to Al's tank and shoved it in there. So I'm gonna have some growing behind me. And this one just kind of looks neat, so I'm gonna leave it. But the Phalaenopsis are still growing roots. This one's started a couple more. That I guess maybe you can see that one coming straight out of the top. Technically that one might be a spike, but I doubt it. I think it's another root. Its new leaf is coming out, and this one's pretty close to mature. It's got the new one coming out. This one decided to do the same thing. It's not quite half grown, but there's a new leaf inside of it too, so it's going to be one that wants to grow two leaves at least this time. This newcomer here has still got its flowers. It says, I'll just keep blooming for a little while longer if you don't mind. Of course I don't mind. Bloom all year if you want to. Then the one beside it, they're a little crowded because I was sneaking back there, sniggling some water to water. No Name doesn't notice as much if I just take it out of the filter. This one, I had this old spike here, the one going out to the side. That spike is about twice as old as the channel, and I've been trying to figure out, and Rick from his channel seems to be curious about the same thing. Just how long can a spike go? Well, that was my oldest spike, and it's now going. So, yeah, a couple of years is all I can prove. I'm now starting over. Don't know how old this spike is, but I guess it's a candidate if I can keep it. Then there's this spike. Yeah, there's all my potting stuff back there. On the new one, still got its flowers from the extension. So yeah, that's gonna be the next oldest probably, because this one over here, like I predicted, well, not quite like I predicted. I expected it to hang on to its spikes for a little while. No, it well, the last bloom fell off this one when I bumped it a bit ago. But as you can see, the spike is already yellow, turning. The one before it's going. I said this one wouldn't hold its spikes. This time it's not going to hold them at all. All of my spikes have come to an end. But its new leaves are doing nice. It, as predicted, seems to only be doing one. I need to get that into a new bark at least. Need to take that out and give it its first transplant of its life. Yeah, I've took the mother plant faded away and gave me 2 kikis from the base, and they've never been repotted. And as you can tell from that leaf there and all the roots that are about, I don't know, a foot maybe away from the floor, and this is I've said I think it's about 3 feet tall. So yeah, it's pretty good for never being transplanted. But I think it's about time. It's about time that it gets repotted. Still looking nice and healthy, but it's just showing some behavior that makes me think that maybe these leaves won't completely mature anyway. I think it's time. Most would say it's overdue because this plant is at least 3 years old, if not older. And last but not least, that's the cherry baby that has been upset with me. As you can see, it's still got some brown leaves. I could trim them off and pretty it up some, but I don't want to. I want to take it through the long haul. But something looked familiar. Did Rick not just do 2 videos about glazed pots? I even put a comment on his video that I think he might be right about the glazed pot causing problems. The initial plant that I got with this glazed pot is in the compost. This plant does not seem to be improving. Doesn't really seem to be declining anymore, but it's not improving either. And when I put it in the pot, I thought back to my high school days when I did some pottery. And yeah, I recommended, being the teacher's assistant, that if your plant doesn't do well in these glazed pots, if they're food safe, should be fine. But if you choose to glaze it not food safe, put a plant in it. If it don't do well, put it in something else. But there is definitely, if I remember right, there was lead and copper. Of course, these are old glazes. If they're still around, they're well over 50 years old now. And even when I was a teenager in high school, they were ancient. If they're still around, they're probably closer to 100 years old. And probably just little bricks. But there was copper and lead and things like that in the ingredients. And they would say, food safe if they were meant for mugs and plates and things. And there was even a rule that if you were doing a mug or something intended for food, to have the glaze approved either by the teacher's assistant or the teacher. And as all that consisted of is the teacher looking at the glaze that you intend to use and, seeing if it said food safe. And then the teacher or the assistant could say that, yeah, if your kid's sick, it's not his pottery that he took home because we confirmed that it was a food safe glaze. That's all that was. It wasn't any test or anything. We just looked at the glaze, and if it said food safe on it, it was approved. That's all that was. But yeah, food safe for dishes and all that. So there's definitely a difference. And I thought about that when I put it in here. And I thought, well, if it doesn't improve or gets worse, I'll put it in something else. And then didn't think about it again until our friend Rick put out his first video. And that reminded me, I guess, of my thoughts. So that's going to be coming out as well. And I don't know, I'll either use the pot as maybe a stand, or maybe I'll just hit it with a hammer and be done with it. I don't know. I think I might turn it upside down so I can do some leveling with plants. But yeah, that's between my thoughts when it went in, Rick L's problems now. It's gonna come out. Probably end up back in a plastic pot because of, well, I've been watching Miss Orchid Girl for a while, and she actually has a little bit of a problem with ceramic pots without the glaze. So ceramics is kind of in trouble all the way around by somebody. But there's definitely, if you want something to have a problem, yeah, you look hard enough, you can probably find it. So that's it for now. This is my Meltonia. It's, yeah, I think it's gonna have to move. I guess they like it cooler, so I don't know, maybe I'll try to find someplace cooler for it. But we're getting ready to go on to 14 minutes, and I still don't know if I've been verified or whatever to make longer videos. I really don't want to redo this video, so I'll go ahead and cut it off here and talk to you next time.